Welcome, homies. This is 2.1 video notes. So I need you to flip over your selfie notes. We're going to discover our rules of multiplication and division of integers. Here we go. So you should have a pencil and two colors. I don't care if they're markers or colored pencils. Colored pencils might work better. So if you need to borrow some, make sure you just go and grab some from the student corner. Okay, here we go. Let's begin. So I know you all know how a multiplication chart works. So we're just going to be filling in the answers to this chart. Okay, so let's multiply 5 times negative 5. If you try that in your calculator, you get negative 5 times 5. You get negative 25. Okay, I'm not going to do every single problem in my calculator. I don't expect you to either because we're going to find the pattern pretty quick. 5 times negative 4 is negative 20. 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. 5 times negative 2, negative 10. And 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. Okay, I'm going to pause the video and see if you can fill in the right side of this table, the right side of this line here. Okay, go ahead and do that now. All right, good. So you should have gotten 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25. You're just counting by fives. So we should be able to do the rest of this pretty quickly. So 4 times negative 5 is negative 20. Then negative 16, negative 12, negative 8, negative 4, and 0. And then as we get to the positive answers, what do you think is going to happen? We're going to be adding 4. Okay. I'm going to pause the video and fill in the next 2 rows. All right, I filled in the next 3 rows. So if you notice, these are just going down up by 3, up by 2s, up by 1. Okay, make sure you're keeping track of your signs. All right, you might start noticing a pattern with these zeros. So you notice 0 times anything is always what? It's 0. So we can fill in all the rest of the zeros. Because you multiply any number by 0, you will always get 0. Okay? Good. So now we're going to do the next quadrant. We have negative 1 times negative 5. Well, what do you get when you multiply negative times a negative? You're going to get a positive. So all of these are going to be our positive answers. Negative 2 times all of those, you're going to get positive answers. So 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. And then your negative 3 times those answers are going to be 15, 12, 9, 6, and 3. And then you get positive 20, positive 16, 12, 8, and 4. And then 25, 20, 15, 10, and 5. All right, I'm going to pause the video. You try to fill out the last box here in the bottom right. Okay, so this is what your box should look like now. Now, I'm going to use a highlighter now. I'm going to use a yellow highlighter, or you can use a colored pencil. I would use light colors. I'm going to highlight all my negative answers yellow and all my positive answers orange. I'm going to pause the video and do that now. Okay, so after you highlight all the negative answers one color and all the positive answers one color, you should have a box or chart that looks like this. So what patterns do you see? What results in positive answers versus negative answers? Go ahead and pause the video and think about what are my rules going to be for multiplying or dividing. Because we know that multiplication and division are opposites of each other, or inverses. So we can go back and forth from multiplication and division. So what are our rules? I'll give you a second to think about it. So I'm going to pause the video and think about what our rules are. All right, welcome back. So our rules are, I'm going to tilt the paper here. If you look on this box here, we have positives times negatives. And what do we get? We got negatives. So if you multiply a negative times a negative, a negative times a positive, my fault, negative times a positive, you get a negative. Okay, but what about on this right side here? We multiplied positive times a positive, and you got a positive. And on this side, the bottom right hand, we are multiplying negatives times positives again. So we get negatives. And lastly, we multiply negative times negative, and you resulted in a positive. So our rules are when you multiply or divide, same signs, you get positive answer. And when you multiply or divide, different signs, your answer is going to be negative. That will always be true for multiplication and division. So make sure you're understanding it's multiplication and division only, not adding and subtracting. All right, so make sure yours looks like mine. All right, we're going to flip over our paper and do the backside now. This is a selfie note. It's going to go by pretty quick here. We just learned when you multiply or divide, same signs, you get positive answers. Different answers, different signs, you get negative answers. So let's read the first one. We're finding our two truths and a lie. We're going to box in our truths and X out our lies. So first one, multiplication is repeated addition and division is repeated subtraction. That is true. I hope you remember that from like elementary school. Okay, multiplication is just addition and division is just subtraction. Over and over again. Number two, if you multiply or divide two negative numbers, the answer will also be negative. Ooh, I hope you recognize that's false. We just determined that when you multiply or divide two negative answers, your answer should be positive. So let's fix that. So we're going to do on the second bullet point because it goes with the second bullet point here. If you multiply or divide two negatives, your answer will be positive. That will always be true for multiplication and division. So if you multiply or divide two negatives, your answer will be positive. Awesome. Now let's read the third one just to make sure. When you multiply an even amount of negative integers, the product will be positive. So that means if you're multiplying two negative numbers together, the answer will be positive. And if you multiply an odd amount of negative integers, the product will be negative. So that means that if you're multiplying an even amount, any number of even amount of integers, so that could be 2, 4, 6, 8 amount of positive or negative numbers, it'll always be positive. And negative if you have an odd amount of integers. That is true. I'm going to give you an example here in a second. Okay, let's go through these examples and find which ones are my mistakes. Or we're going to fix them, excuse me. They're all wrong. We're going to fix them. 2 times negative 3. That's a positive times a negative. Are these same or different signs? Are these same or different? These are different. So they should be negative. So this is wrong. Let's fix on the right side. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Let's try letter B. You try this one by yourself. Are they same or different? So go ahead and try this one yourself. You should have decided they are the same signs. So it should be positive. So negative 4 times negative 5 should be positive 20. All right, now this goes along, C goes along with the third statement on our selfie notes. Let's talk about it. We have 1, 2, 3 integers. That's an odd amount of integers. So let's solve it. Let's start from left to right. We have a negative times a negative. A negative times a negative is a positive. A positive times a negative. These are different. So it should be positive. Our answer should be positive. Let's fix on the right-hand side. Negative 2. Negative 2 times negative 4 times negative 3. Well, negative 2 times negative 4 is positive 8. And positive 8 times negative 3 is negative 24. So my answer is negative 24, not positive. Okay, so really look at how I solved this one on C. Check your sign first before you even solve. Then you can double check to make sure your sign is correct at the end of your problem solving. Okay, so same signs different, different signs same signs positive, different signs negative. Same signs positive, different signs negative. Okay, that'll always be true for multiplying and dividing. Okay, that is it for 2.1 selfie notes. So you guys should go do the must do.